Good morning, everyone. So we'll just dive right in. I'll do a quick intro of the couple. So they've been married for 9+ years. It's going to be 10 years in. It's already 10. It's 10 years. And they are lovers of God, portray their relationship and marriage as one that's rooted in love of God and faith. And that's what we hope to tap from today. I'm very inspired by your marriage. So I guess we can start there. What's it been like being married for 10 years? That's a long time.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Such an honor to be here again. I feel like I'm part of the LifePoint family. I'm here. I think I've been here every year for the past 3 years, so that's amazing. Thank you so much for calling me back. It means that my contributions are not that bad. Just kidding. 10 years, it sounds long, but it seems short. I mean, you said time flies when you're having fun. So it doesn't really feel like a decade. It feels like maybe like you just got married like 3 years ago. It doesn't seem that long. It's been amazing. Not that it doesn't come with its own fair share of challenges and whatnot, but I feel like we've been able to do it well. Yeah.
Do it well. We'll come to the doing it well, I guess your definition of doing it well. But, I mean, most of the people in this room are young people. They are single. They are single. We don't have a lot of married people in the room. So I guess most of our conversation will be about preparing to get married, what you need to know before you get married, how you prepare, and all of that. So I guess, Captain, this question is for you. One of the things that we've been focused on throughout this series is building a healthy you. So for us, it's like there's the term or the quote, healthy me leads to healthy us, has been floating around throughout the month. And it's something that I guess is now etched on people's hearts at this point. So what does being a healthy man before marriage, or even just generally, mean to you?
Okay, good morning, everyone. And again, it's a blessing to be here. So thank you for having us. Healthy me, healthy us. I'll start with my own, I'll use myself as an example. Before I met Bumi, I had done a lot of life-changing, I had made some life-changing decisions about the kind of friends I have, about the kind of life I want to live. This had nothing to do with Bumi. It's not because I met her or I want to change my life, no. So I had edited my list. I usually kind of do self-assessments, I call it. So self-assessments and look at the kind of friends I have, what kind of attributes, characters do I want to have as a father, as a man, as a leader. And based on that, I usually will edit my list. And I've had a friend that we've been friends since GS1, all through secondary school, all through university, all through aviation school. But along the line, we fell out. And I didn't say, oh, we must be friends to the end. It's not by force. So when I mean life-changing decisions, healthy me is that you have to edit your own self and surround yourself with people that help you grow. In your faith in God, you have to surround yourself with people that help you grow financially, making financial decisions, good and smart financial decisions. You surround yourself with people that are blessed in their marriage, and they will serve as inspiration for you. You surround yourself with people that help you grow in your profession, not just in all aspects of your life. So that is what I did before I met Bumi. So when I came in, I didn't have an issue of saying, oh, she doesn't like this particular friend of mine, or she doesn't like because I already had edited, I already done those changes before she came into my life. That's the first aspect. That answers the question. But I think more importantly, the second half of the question is, how do you identify if the person you are going into a relationship is actually a healthy person? That's the side of the question that wasn't put out. So the question is, how do you identify if this person is healed from past experiences, if this person is ready to be with the complete me. I'm edited, I'm fine. I know who I am in Christ. I know who I am as a person, as a human being, as a man or a woman. But how do I know that this person I'm bringing in? I have to start looking for pointers. Is he kind? Is he selfless? Well, what kind of heart does he have towards you? Not only, religiously, like having a relationship with God, but you as a human being. And how is he with his parents? How is he with his finances? How is he with friendships and what kind of relationship does he have? What kind of friends does he surround himself with? These are things that you need to look out for.
Thanks for that, Captain. Very thorough. So I'll come to you, J. Booms. I feel like Captain said, he edited himself independently outside of you. So his decision to edit himself wasn't dependent on your preferences, right? As a woman, growing up, in most homes, in most households, at least in this part of the world, right, there's this, you're sort of molded to be a wife, right? So I remember my mom would say things like, is this how you're going to be doing in your husband's house? And I was like, okay. So a lot of people's molding to be like the healthy them is based on, it's almost like preparation for marriage. Was that something that you also had growing up? And how were you able to build independently? Especially because I feel like something I've noticed about you from social media is like you're very flexible in your thinking, right? So you're happy to unlearn, relearn, and like, I remember the time you were posting something about how people feel like you can't take advice from people that have been married for a year or something. And like how, yeah. So how, were you molded to be a wife? And at some point, did you drop that? Do you have friends that were molded to be wives? And like, if you weren't, how have people basically navigated this construction?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. I think it's an important question. So first of all, I also believe that, well, we want to be real, right? Let's be real. I believe that a lot of cultural and traditional constructs have come into how we are molded as people. And if we really want to look at a lot of upbringing in our case, in African context or Nigerian context, a lot of it can be quite toxic. Right? So as a woman, you're going to behave in your husband's house, and all the chores, everything is for you. So it's kind of conditioning you to see marriage as in a certain light. So for me, first of all, I didn't have a Nigerian mother. I don't have a Nigerian mother. My mother is originally from the Caribbean. She's Bayesian, she's from Barbados, but she was born and bred in Canada. So it's my dad that is Nigerian. So I think that dynamic as well plays a little role in my upbringing. And again, my father was very liberal. He left Nigeria when he was 17 years old. So again, those two people coming together, we didn't really have a very traditional Yoruba home. So I have 4 brothers, and I'm an only girl. Everybody is cleaning, everybody is cooking. But for me as a person, I want to believe that things can happen to you in life, but you have to get to a point where you make the decision as an individual to grow. And where it be healthy me, healthy us, I'm just bringing this in as well so that I can answer the question together, is whether it is from how you were raised. A lot of people are raised in toxic backgrounds. That's just the truth. Let's just call a spade a spade. Not many people have healthy backgrounds. And even as much as we try, even like us now, we try so much with our kids. At some point in their life, they will say, when my mommy was, she did one thing to me, and you just scarred me. At the end of the day, we are all flawed individuals that we're walking towards perfection. And so there are certain things that we will do that will affect. But you have to, as a person, understand the dynamic of how you grew up, and understand the nuances, the toxicity, and some of the things that have clouded your judgment as a person. And a lot of that now feels who you even choose as a life partner, or you want to go into a relationship with. And I want to say that to say, as a person, I was 18 years old when I became self-aware to say that there are some things in my life that are not healthy. And
Do you mind sharing?
yes, so I had low self-esteem, right? So what happens with when you have whatever toxic relationship it is, whether it's upbringing, so parenting, or you've gone into a series of toxic relationships, what toxic relationships do, whether it is parenting or romantic relationships, is that they erode your self-esteem. They create self-doubt and anxiety, and they impede you from personal growth. So you have to be able to, like my husband said, you can see that we do a lot of introspection. If there's something that you've heard from us speaking, is we do something called self-assessment. He has been doing it before he met me, and I do it myself, and I still do it. You have to be able to understand and say, there are certain things that have gone through my life that are not right. And if I keep living with this mindset, it's going to fault in some of the things that come out in my life and decisions that I make. So a lot of times, people's decisions are based off of these things have happened to them in their past. So when you're talking about me, I made the decision as a young person to say I have low self-esteem. For some people that don't know, I used to weigh 130 kilograms. So I was very fat. In fact, I was obese, right? And when you grow up, if you're on the larger side, you know that people most likely treat you based on how you look. We live in a very superficial world. And I was called many names, so I would internalize those things and see myself based off of how people viewed me. And as a healthy person, that cannot be how you view yourself. I view myself based off of the word of God and what God says about me, not what you think about me. And that was a big part of it. Now, also, my parents had some rocky parts of their relationship, and that was what I was viewing as marriage. But I had to come to a point in my own life. I said, I don't want this. I want a different type of marriage. I don't want this. And so I started to work on myself. I also had daddy issues, right? And I had to come to that understanding. I do have a problem with how I view men and how I view male figures in my life, and I had to work with that. Don't want to talk too much. I know we have.
Thank you, but that was really helpful. I hope it was. So, like, what I'm hearing you both say first is you need to sit down and have a conversation with yourself. Self-assessment. Sit down, and this was something that was preached about last week during the conversational preaching that we had from the Elevation Church. And essentially, we were saying you need to be God-conscious, right? God-conscious, self-conscious, and love-conscious. But the self-conscious part is sitting down with yourself and knowing who you are and being able to communicate that as well. And I hear that that's what you're doing. And communicating it sometimes means communicating to friends that no longer fit into the reality of who you are or who you want to be and cutting them off, frankly. So when you both, after doing your own self work, when you both met, would you have considered your dating a Christian dating? Would you have said, oh yeah, this is a Christian relationship, or we're Christian dating? Yeah? No, this is a Christian relationship, but like, would you say, oh, this is an example of Christian dating?
No, when you say Christian dating, what are we saying? No, because I have a different, it depends on what you mean. So if you say Christian dating, you're not having any premarital sex, you're not kissing, you're not this, you're not that. So is that what we're saying Christian dating is?
So she wants you to answer it.
Okay. Yes, we didn't have premarital sex. And we didn't
people should clap for us. It's easy.
It's not easy, but again, it's not easy. But for me, what I did is there's a Yoruba saying. I don't know how to say it properly in Yoruba. It says it basically means it's just like a dog. If you are not, don't smell anything, you're not going to eat. So you won't say dog smelling or sniffing something is not going to eat. So
don't give rats fish to keep.
Or also, there's another saying that says they know they give rat fish keep. So say you give a rat fish and say, hold it, don't eat it, I'm coming. It's not possible. So basically what I mean by that is I never put myself in a compromising situation. not just in a relationship, but also professionally, I will never put myself in I always think 2, 3, 4 steps ahead and be sure that I'm not going to put myself in a compromising situation with a colleague or a co-worker or a friend, a female friend, that you find somehow stumble and end up in a quiet place alone in the middle of nowhere. That will never happen. It's as simple as that. But I mean, in everything that people call mistakes, there's a thought process that has come out of that has led to that situation. So, something happened and you guys had sex, for example. Obviously, things had led to that. So the idea is that you need to be a bit more proactive and assess it and kind of block those situations from happening, or loopholes from happening. I don't even have anything else.
So how would you describe your Christian dating? Beyond, what he has already said.
For me, I don't just date anybody. Let's just start there. So I'll say yes, we had Christian dating. If there's a phrase like that. Before I met my husband, I had been told by God to be single, and that was God's instruction to me. Say, be single for. I'm like, how long, Lord? He's like, don't worry. When it happens, I'll let you know. So I've been working based off of instructions with God. And I want everyone to understand that we don't just live our life willy-nilly. It's just like we're talking about that we read this morning in Matthew 7. It says that you built two people built houses. One was wise, one was foolish. But they both built houses. But it was the way they built that made that made the difference. So everybody is dating, everybody's getting married, but we can now see the fruit of the choices that were made. So as a person, God told me, I listened to the instruction based off of my life, my purpose, and what God has planned for me, which you should sit with God and ask God several questions, right? And God said to me, no dating for you. Okay, cool, no problem. And at some point, I came to Nigeria, and my husband was one of the men that I met. And I like to give this story because I feel like it's a good marker for women in this age to understand. I had 8 men on my case at the same time. And at that point, as a hot girl now, and at that point, I started to sense, okay, I'm like, God, what's happening here? And I started to eliminate them based off of my, what I thought about the Word of God and who I want to be and where I see myself in a marriage. And I brought it down to 2 people.
Mind giving us a checklist.
Okay. So for me, I was like, you know what?
Notes.
First of all, you have to fear God, right? And not just a superficial walk with God, like a real walk with God. And I'm not talking about spiritual gymnastics. I'm talking about a man who actually fears God. Because it's not, like my husband was saying, like, it's not because you meet somebody in church, therefore you say this person, oh, because I meet you in church, therefore you fear God. Like they say, church is like a hospital. There are many sick people. So if you are saying because you met someone in church, therefore you are doing Christian dating and you're in a relationship with the person, no. So first of all, did they have a relationship with God? Am I equally yoked? First thing. Second thing is, I'm looking for the way he thinks as a person. Leadership. Can he lead me aright? Because I know that the Bible says that the man is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. So, can I submit to this man's leadership? How is he leading himself as a person? That was very, very important to me. So, of course, that one slashed them by half, right? We came down to like 3 guys. Now, there was my husband, there was another guy who was quite rich, quite very rich, right? My husband was a pilot who was in between jobs at this point, and there was this rich guy who used to fly around in private jets. Then there was a senator's son. Yes. So I was trying to pick which one of these men fits where I have seen a glimpse of where God is taking me. At this point, I already knew that I'm a woman of God and I have a purpose in ministry as well, not just in the marketplace. So which of these men am I going to choose? And I started to pray about it. And I was going on, dates with them, talking to them and whatnot. Now, this one, the senator's son, he was an okay guy, right? But I found that he had self-esteem issues. And I was like, you know what? If this man is not healed, it's going to affect our relationship. And I don't think that I'm the one that is called to bring healing into your life. My dear, go and find your healing. If at some point we meet again and he does it, fantastic. But okay, bye-bye. Now it came down to my husband and this other guy. Everybody was already saying the rich guy is the guy. Why? Because he has money.
Money answers all things.
Yeah. Not when it comes to marriage. And it's something that I spoke about this last week because I was at another church, one church last week. And I said, as a woman, you cannot be only looking out for money to choose a life partner. It's such a low way of thinking. You can't. And I say that with my chest. And so, because when you're living with a person, I said, have you seen handsome rich demon before? Have you seen a rich man that can beat you? Have you seen a rich man that will not support your dreams? Do you understand? So it cannot be about money. That's why you also have a brain as a woman. God has given you skills, talents. You have gone to school. Think, work, bring money in. Put value into the world. Bring money back. Do you understand? So it's never about money. And so for me, and everybody was like, oh, yes, this guy. He was a nice guy. He was a Christian. But when I went to pray, God told me, this is the one. This is the one. And I want to point out that this guy, I love him. He was in between jobs. He didn't have a job. And I think we've spoken about it here before, that when he took me on a date to 1,000 naira.
What year was this?
It's a long time ago now. 2012. 2012. It's a long time ago. He doesn't have 1K again. He's got, Ojogu. But I was saying that I didn't look at that as a determining factor to whether I was going to date him or not. Because I was seeing a bigger picture than money. This man had the attributes of a leader.
Can you give us some examples? Because, it sounds good, right?
Yes,
that you are not only looking at money as a determinant, but if a man should take you out on a date and cannot pay,
You could pay for the dates now.
Hey, but
yes, you could pay for the dates.
Everything was under 1,000.
Everything was under 1,000 naira.
Everything was under 1,000. Foresight.
I was very strategic.
Very strategic. But also, it would be nice to also hear, because I know that...
We always talk about red flags, right?
Exactly.
But they have green flags. And
Please
I just
give
want
us
to
the
read
green
them so that I
flags.
can just read them quickly. Number one, for me, has a strong sense of who he is and is living authentically. So a man that is not lying to you. He's not lying to you about his lifestyle, what he has and what he doesn't have. You have to open your eyes to see.
And he's not lying to the world either. I'm not trying to prove anything on Instagram or anything like that.
So let's tag team on this. Supportive of your personal growth and goals, and is not threatened or intimidated by it. So at this point, I had just started Shredder Gang, and I started making money quite early. And the first thing was like, how can you support me with what I was doing? Even though you did say, first of all, that I should go and... He was like, you know what, you can't just become an entrepreneur. You have to go and work in the system. I need you to go and work for at least 1 year. And I was crying. I was like, no. But he supported me in my dreams and still supports me to today. Because I have a lot of big dreams that I want to accomplish in life. And he doesn't look at it and say, no, you cannot do that. Why would you think that you can do that? So these are the small markers. And when people say certain things to you, please pay attention. We are dating someone, we are talking to someone. Pay attention to what they say. Shows in considerable amount of vulnerability with you. A lot of men are closed. They have walls.
What's an example?
So a lot of men, if they are hurt about something, or maybe they are even broke, they will never tell you that they are broke. Or maybe
there are many aspects. Finance is definitely one of them. And as opposed to telling your partner or your girlfriend that you can't afford something, The next logical thing is to go and borrow money from somebody and say, I'll pay you at the end of the month. Now, it's not like I cannot borrow money. I can borrow money, but the question is, why will I have to borrow money and wait till why can't the item wait till I get paid? Why do I have to borrow money? Because I'm trying to impress or I want to meet a need. It's not necessary. So as because of that, I will not even do it. Again, it's not like I can't afford it, but I'll simply not do it because I don't have money at the time. It's as simple as that.
And for women, is understanding that he's not being stingy, is that he has boundaries with his finances. And we also have to be able to hear no as a woman. A man's no is also powerful, not only his yes. His no is also powerful. Women, are you hearing? Accepting your past without judgment doesn't compare you to others. A big one. Please, my fellow women and men, be careful. A person who's always judging you or comparing you to the next person. Oh, why can't you be like this, your friend? Or why can't you be like this person online? Yeah. Invested and takes interest in your interests. Very, very important. Makes an effort to know your family, friends, and doesn't keep you away from them. Another marker. So all of a sudden, all your friends that you've known for so many years, they're all bad people. Because he's trying to isolate you. There are always signs, but you need to pay attention to those signs. Respects your privacy and individuality. You have to have a partner that understands boundaries. When I say no, no is no. Don't try to override my no. Like I said, a no is as powerful as a yes. Has good sense of perspective as a person. Oh, you have this issue, and you need a man to give you some sort of guidance and foresight of what might happen. Because if I'm going to yoke myself to you, we are helping each other. Do you understand? It's not every time I'm the one that is. He has to be able to give you some sort of perspective on it. Oh, I don't think you're saying that properly. Like sometimes my husband will tell me, that's not the right way to think about something. Or we're not going to do this because if you do this, this and this and this is going to happen. So I think those are some of the qualities that I saw in him as a person. And I was like, you know what? And I was paying attention to him. You know, the way he eats as well. Those are small things. You know, but soft skills are also really, really key. And they play a big role when you get married.
Captain, I feel like you want to...
Yeah, I was going to add to it regarding finance. What I was going to say, also in my marriage, talking about she's my partner, not only as a wife, but as business partner, also as a friend. And when we want to do, I do an open book policy for my finance. She knows how much I earn and all of that, and we do everything together. So recently, we were trying to decide whether we should partner with a startup, an investment, a startup to say whether we should invest in this business. Every time I get a word to say, okay, we should do it, she says no. Not no, but be patient. And then anytime she says, okay, I think we should go ahead, I don't feel comfortable with it. I say, you know what, no, I'm going to speak to somebody else about it. We just never came a point where both of us agreed at the same time to say, you know what, we should do it together. And we prayed about it. And at the end of the day, of course, you have somebody that wants to invest in, and he's mounting pressure on you. When are you making the payment? My accountant is waiting, and all of those kind of things. And I just thought to myself, I said, in life, it's not about me making a decision and making an investment and the investment panning out to be the right one. So, for example, she says no, I say yes, and because I'm the man, I go ahead and make the investment. And at the end of the day, 2 years, 3 years down the line, it turns out to be rubbish. And then she says, I told you so. Or 2 years down the line, it turns out to be a fantastic investment, and I say, I told you so. So the point I'm trying to make is there's no winner or loser in this journey. The point is that when the team says yes, then it's a yes. When the team says no, then it's a no. Even if we say no and it's a win for other people, it's not a win for us because we never agreed about it. So it's not a loss.
That's really helpful. And I feel like another way to think about the green flags is, I guess, the opposite of that, or the lack of those things that you've highlighted, are red flags. So that's also worth thinking about. And while you were speaking, it seems like a core bedrock of your relationship is communication, right? So telling each other things, but still maintaining privacy, still maintaining boundaries. How do you do both? How did you do it before you got married, while you were still dating? And how has it changed now that you've gotten married? Are you more open, less open?
And I'll say that right from the beginning, I always encouraged her to pick a fight with me. And yeah, it sounds weird, but I always tell her to
Conflicts are healthy.
to express herself. I would apologize for something mean I said, but I'll still say what I want to say. Why am I saying that is we're year 10 in our marriage. We are not fighting over year one fight. So, for example, year one, you didn't wake up and make breakfast for me. You didn't do this. You didn't take out the trash. Oh, you didn't come and pick him up from work. All those are early stages issues, right? But as time goes on, we kind of have arguments, fights over certain things, and we find a common ground. Year 10, we're not fighting about that. Year 10, we're talking about school fees, what kind of school the kids want to go to. So the relationship and
Real
the marriage,
life challenges.
the relationship and the marriage is growing. And that's as a result of communication. Communication doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges. It just means that you are more open to each other and your relationship is growing. You're elevating in your relationship. But there are people that are 10 years in marriage and they're still fighting over year one stuff. You went out with your friends, you came back late. You know we have church tomorrow, Or you went out, you took my car, I didn't buy petrol in my car. Or things like that. Little things. And then things spiral out and get out of control because of that. So communication, yes, is very important, but communicating your points and changing as an individual, changing as a result of that situation. So in 2, 3, 4 years, you're not going back to year one fight. You're actually growing. Your relationship is growing. Our level of communication now has changed from year one in marriage. It's not perfect. There's no relationship that is perfect, but it's way better than what it was before.
So were there any defining moments that changed how you communicate or improved how you communicate?
For me, defining moments is that you love your wife. It's part of being vulnerable as a man. You love your wife and you care about this person that you're with, and you don't want to lose her. No matter what people are saying on social media, oh, divorce is good, divorce is... If he cheats on you, if he doesn't care about you, leave him, Joe. Other people that are looking for you, it's 100% right, but I don't want other people. It's as simple as that. So being vulnerable about what you want, what you desire, and sticking to it. And that's what I think, that there's nothing that's... that we have gone through some, of course, difficult challenges, but also I've been vulnerable to know that this is the person I want to be with, and I'm willing to change. I'm not too old to change. In marriage, in relationship, I'm not too old I'm willing to change and improve on myself because of the person I want to be. And that's an act of love. It's also an act of being selfless.
I think for me, one of the defining moments was when we first got married, and I used to be adverse to conflict because I felt like conflict means that there's a problem, like maybe we're not meant to be together. And I remember maybe this was like maybe 3 months into our marriage, and then we had this very heated arguments, and then he was like, Bumi, listen, we're going to have conflicts. It doesn't mean that there's any problem with our marriage. It just means that we need to learn from the conflict. So quickly, I started to understand that when I have conflict with somebody, it's because I do not understand certain things about them. And conflict is an opportunity to learn about this person. Because if I do something that you don't like, that's conflict now. And then you tell me I don't like this, and next time, I just don't do it. That is why he's saying that it's not only about just communicating, it's about communicating that it's like repenting. You're making a decision to change. So our communication has really, really progressed and advanced over time. Where in the beginning, before, when we're still learning one another, it's almost like for him, he likes to brood on a matter. You say, give me time. Me, I want to Let's hash it out right now. And he's like, no. And usually those people usually marry. But we have to come to a point where we're able to make a decision to say, okay, maybe we will do XYZ at a later time and put a time and date on where we are going to talk about this issue. Or we go ahead and we're not keeping malice, say we're not talking to you. I don't think we've ever done, say never. It's not something that we do in our relationship. We've never done it.
I was like that in the beginning. So,
yeah.
But again, these are things that has changed over the years.
So me, I will not allow you to say, you want to go and sleep, so I will follow you.
Okay. So I feel like one thing that we're seeing more and more in this generation is people having options, right? So you're dating, like you said, you had eight men. Honestly, 8 men is a lot of people to talk to. But like, you had options, obviously. How do you properly navigate? And for you had mentioned, you pray to God, and from 8, you narrow them down to 3. So even the private jet person was not necessarily a bad person or someone who did not tick a couple of your boxes already. So how do you navigate these options without necessarily, how were you even doing it? Like, were you boyfriend and girlfriend? Did you pray to God to be his girlfriend before it then progressed to marriage? Or what was the dating situation like before marriage?
When I was single, I was very brutal. Very, very. He's nodding his head. Very.
I'm agreeing because...
Yeah, I was very, very, very... Because I had spent a lot of time preparing myself for marriage. I had read a lot of books. I have gone to a lot of seminars. I had done a lot. And so that helped with even eliminating the nonsense. Do you understand? So I already knew, after we have maybe 1 or 2 conversations, usually I have a good judge of character. I can say, this is not it for me. I already know. So there's no need. So I wasn't dating them. Like, I weren't in a relationship. I was not dating 8 men at the time. But we were talking, right? And after a while, I was like, you know what? I don't really see anything here. Honorably, part ways with them. I can still see them on the road and say, hey, how are you? I've bumped into some of them sometimes with their wife and family and whatnot. I'm fantastic for them. They were just not for me. But I was very, very serious about the qualities that I wanted in a husband. And I knew what those qualities were based off of scripture. And so if you don't fit into those qualities, so like I said, am I equally yoked with you as a person? That helped eliminate a lot of things. And it brought it down to 3. And like I said, when I brought it down to 3, it was not a matter of money. It was the smallest things that I myself was not able to see. But I chose my husband based off of the instruction that I got from God. Though I had seen certain things in him, because when it came down to 2 of them, I really couldn't choose. I didn't know. I didn't know who to choose. But God said, this is it. So for me, I was, like when I started talking to my husband, when we finally got into a relationship, I was like, don't call me before 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I don't want you to be the first person I'm talking to when I wake up in the morning. I want to talk to God. I'm sure you'll be like, what kind of person is this? I'm like, don't touch me. Don't hold my hand. Don't even think of kissing me. Yes, I was that serious because I'm like, let me know if you want to run away now. And then the second time we went on a date, I remember because I was overweight, I have stretch marks. So I purposely wore a sleeveless top, so that he will see what... Exactly. If you have a problem with stretch marks, it's now that I'll come and be going. Do you understand? I was not trying to beg anybody to be in a relationship with me. If you see me and you don't like me, we're not enemies. Peace out.
Best to end it quickly.
Exactly. So I think that as a woman, I had done a lot of work for myself. So when I saw what was not it, I knew there was no need to be playing there, and I didn't also want to be playing with God's sons. That's another thing. Women will be stringing many men, multiple men along. No. So for me, I didn't date any of them. I didn't say, like, I was in a relationship. None of them had said, I want to be in a relationship, but I hadn't answered yet because I had to get clarity from God. So to your question, yes, I asked God. I never still do anything until I ask God. And sometimes God says yes or no, and sometimes God says, you pick. You should know. Yeah.
Captain, did you have options as well? And how did you decide?
Options, yeah. I mean, there are always options when you are single. And one of the things I used to say when I was single is that it's better to have a broken relationship than a broken marriage. So again, I'm with Bumi on that. Is the only time you can be selfish is when you are dating. Once you are married, you can't be selfish anymore. Your selfish days are over. That being said, the things I are looking for, of course, you are looking for the markers that you're looking for in a wife is that she can be a good mother. So, of course, one of the ways to determine whether she's a good mother is to also look at the character of her own mom and see how her mom raised her and what values she has. So, I've met Bumi. I know the kind of person she is. I know her perspective as a woman. And I've met the mom. I know the kind of perspective the mom has. And for me, I was like, okay, fantastic. This is good. That was one. Two, I think we can all agree as men in the house that physical attraction is very important. So I was physically attracted, and I liked her as a person physically. And also, I just didn't look at the present. You also need to look ahead of the game. Why am I saying that? I'm the last of 6, and I have 3 sisters. And I can tell you, I've seen my sister at her prime when she was 16, 18, 21, 25, 28. And I can see her when she's past 40 with 3, 4 kids. And I can tell you for a fact that the body is not the same. That is my own blood sister that I love. So when you start dating somebody, you need to understand that this person that you're thinking has a banging body, you're physically attracted to her. She's going to change when the kids start rolling in. And you need to prepare yourself for that because you're already in marriage. You're not going to say, oh, I'm going to fall out of love because I'm not physically attracted to you anymore because you have one secretary or you have one co-worker in the office that is younger and she's looking more attractive. Therefore, you don't love your wife anymore. That is not my yardstick. You need to prepare psychologically as a man. I think that those are things that we don't look at or we don't consider when we are dating. That this person you're with is going to change. And not just her, even you. You're going to grow a belly, you're going to grow a beard, and put on some weight. That's just the way life is. So you need to prepare your mind for that. Also, I talked about being a mother. I talked about physical attraction. Being supportive. This woman that I'm getting into a relationship or I'm in a relationship, is she supportive of me when I'm down? And down doesn't necessarily, it can also include finance when you don't have money, but down in terms of emotionally, because storms are going to come, and how can she elevate me from this dark hole that I put myself in? How can she, again, I'm not talking about depression or anything like that, but as men, we don't speak out enough about what we are going through. And of course, for one of the ways you can assess whether this person I'm with is the right person is by opening or being vulnerable. To say, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm earning. These are the challenges I'm going through at work. How do I elevate my career? How do I improve on my income? What do I need to do to go to the next step? And she comes with her own ideas. She's very supportive. She will pray with you. She will help you, guide you, speak to people and all that. And then you can look at her and say, this person, she's making sense, right? So these are markers that you look out for. And I can tell you that even with just these 3 markers, there are a lot of women that you eliminate automatically because they will not do that. Most women nowadays are not patient. Most women nowadays are not ready to help build. They cannot nurture. And when I mean nurture, it's like you tender a garden. Just like as a man tenders a woman, also she needs to also tender a man and watch him grow. I am what I am today also as a result of Bumi's input and Bumi's tendering. And she is what she is as a result of my own input and my own tendering. So it's easy to say, oh, that guy is tall, dark, and handsome. I like the way he is. I find him attractive. But somebody put in the work. Somebody put in the work to make him where he is today. Of course, that doesn't mean I was a wretch when we were dating. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, I'm better. I'm a better person.
Thank you so much. And we're already out of time, but I'll just ask one more question to you both. BWS was speaking before about how people grow in relationships or marriage, and sometimes people grow apart rather than growing together. How have you ensured that you both are growing together? And were there times when, you needed to pick somebody up? You spoke about physical attraction, and I know J Booms is a champion of whipping people to shape. How have you both? So even when you're talking about like how women grow older and like their body is no longer the same, I mean, I don't know if you are suffering from that dilemma.
No,
But
no,
like-
I think, go ahead.
But yeah, just how have you both ensured that at every point in time you're growing together, even through life's challenges?
You want me to go first? Okay. I think for us, one of the biggest things is we are good friends. We are very good friends. And many people that are married, they are not good friends. So we talk a lot. He's sometimes away at work because of his schedule. He travels out of Lagos. And the moment he's a pilot, so the moment he lands, there's a message, just landed. I believe that every time my husband makes a landing, no, I believe, actually, every time he makes a landing for the past 9 years, he will message me, just landed, just landed, just landed. At the moment I know he has landed, I'm ready to call, if I'm able to call. I say, hey, how far? How was the flight? Thank God for journey mercies. If he calls me in the next 2 hours, just landed, thank God for journey mercies. How far? What's going on at your end? We are always keeping the lines of communication open. So I always know what's going on with him. I know what he eats every single day. He has to tell me, what did you have this morning? What did you have this afternoon? What do you want to eat tonight? Oh, I don't like what you had. Can you have X, Y, Z? So we're always communicating. And I think that as a couple, you have to understand that life comes with stressors. There are many stressors that come as a result. And it's not good to say this, but sometimes children can be a stressor if you allow them. So a lot of times people shift their gaze from the love that they have with their partner to their children, and that becomes the joy and the source of their life and their existence. All they are living for is those children. And I believe that the reason why we've had such a great romantic relationship and still have today is because we put ourselves first. We don't put our children first. We come first. Our children come after. Because if we are not healthy in our relationship, then really we have nothing to give them. So we spend a lot of time together. If you follow us on social media, you see that we travel quite a lot, where our children will say, oh, yeah, you're not taking us. No, we're not taking you.